Hey, I'm Tyler with Bike Room. We're here this weekend with Fezzari for the launch of the new La Sal Peak, which is their long travel 29er. It's the first time they've had a long travel 29er bike, and they went straight into carbon with it because that's what everybody wants, that's what they wanted. And so this is a 150 mil travel on the rear, 160 fork in the front. And what kind of sets this bike apart a little bit is the angle. So it's got a pretty slack 65-degree head angle, but the seat tube, as you can see from a straight on, is a very steep 75 degrees. And so that meant they had to make the chainstays just a little bit longer at 435. And when you're on the bike at first, like the first time I sat on it, it felt a little weird because you're really up front. You're looking way over the front end. But what happened is as soon as we started climbing, it made all the sense in the world. And the nice thing is, once you drop the post, it's super easy to get way, way, way off the back, and it's totally out of the way. So it's one of those things where it's maybe a non-intuitive geometry at first, but it works on the trail. So when we went out riding, it worked fantastic. You could whip it through the things, the handling's super tight. And on the climbs, because you're kind of up and forward and right over the pedals, you've got plenty of traction, but it's also easy to keep weight on the front end, so you're not wandering all over the place or like fighting for traction on the steep stuff. A couple of the standout features on this one are their cable management, which clamps the cables in, so there's no rattling on the inside of the frame, even though there's no internal channeling. So it's an easier construction, and it works. It also opens up to a big hole, so if you did have to change something, it's pretty easy to get to. Down here, they put the cable exit port on top, which is weird. A lot of people put it on the bottom, and you end up with these big loops of cable. This one keeps it super clean, they're running up high, and it also means you have less cable growth as the suspension moves. So there's less friction, less overall cable length, for less shifting friction too, which is nice. All frame sizes from small to extra large have two bottle cages on the inside, but only on the large and extra large can you actually use both of them at the same time, but you have options. There's also another bottle cage mount underneath if you really, really need to go long distance and carry a lot of water. Or you could use those for like a small tool roll type case and just strap it in. The flip chip on the suspension lets you change the angles, but most people are going to be riding that in low, and that's what they recommend, and that's what the geometry is built around. What the chip does, though, is if you want to run 27.5 plus, and this will clear up to a 2.8 27.5 plus, then you flip it into the high position, and it ends up setting the geometry back to where it should be. In the normal position with 29ers, which is what this bike is meant to be, you can run up to a 2.6, so you can still get some really big meat in here. Other than that, it is kind of what it appears to be. It's a long travel ripper of an enduro bike, and so far so good. We're pretty impressed by our first rides.